A lot is on the line in November with voters across Western Washington deciding who will represent them as mayor, city council member, county executive, and more. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joyce Taylor. The general election is November 4th. More than a dozen mayoral races, important school levies, and a statewide initiative that would change how WA Cares funds can be used are all on the ballot. So let's start in Seattle, where Mayor Bruce Harrell hopes to win re-election for a second term. Harrell and challenger Katie Wilson both advanced to the general election, with Wilson securing just over 50% of the primary vote, 9 points ahead of the incumbent. Since taking office in 2022, Harrell has focused on public safety, affordable housing, and supporting small businesses. Wilson, the co-founder and executive director of the Transit Riders Union, has focused on stronger renter protections, improving worker wages, and affordable housing. King 5's Jim Nelson caught up with both of the candidates to talk about the big issue.
Well, a couple more weeks. How you feeling?
I feel pretty good. Like I said, people have to remember this is my 5th election, so not my first rodeo.
Mayor Bruce Harrell is all smiles down the stretch of what has become a close race.
So many people have put their kind of hopes and dreams into this campaign.
Progressive candidate Katie Wilson has never held political office, but has been in the arena through her Transit Riders Union.
I've been there working with departments as programs are designed or policies are implemented. And so I've really had that window into City Hall, how it works, how it often doesn't work very well for people.
She turned the race upside down, earning nearly 51% of the vote in the primary. The incumbent Harrell finished at 41%.
I have a city to run, and there are some very challenging issues. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of experience.
In a post-primary surge, Harrell has a huge fundraising lead. A pro-Harrell PAC has raised $1.6 million compared to Wilson's $357,000. The mayor has also surpassed Wilson in individual contributions, collecting $1 million to Wilson's $976,000.
You know, I think it's hard to be prepared for $1 million+ being spent attacking you.
This job is too big to have a learning curve.
They're playing a little dirty.
Key issues include public safety and soaring rents.
And that has, been the driver of our worsening homelessness crisis. And so part of this is that we do need to allow much more housing to be built in our great neighborhoods around the city. And we also need more public investment in housing, right? And that's one of the reasons why I'm a really strong supporter of social housing.
When my opponent's talking about putting homeless people in that affordable housing, which takes away from the teachers and the baristas and the social workers, that's bad policy. Our homelessness system is in collaboration with the county. And what we can do better is make sure that we, as Seattle, we're getting the best bang for the buck.
For him, this election comes down to building on 4 years of work.
I love the job, and so it's a lot of work, but we're up for it, and we feel pretty good.
For Wilson, it's about change.
I really believe that we can make some transformational change together.
And now to Tacoma, where John Hines and Anders Ibsen are running to replace outgoing Mayor Victoria Woodards. Ibsen is a former deputy mayor and city council member. His focus is on affordable housing, creating good-paying jobs, and safety. Hines serves on the city council and was deputy mayor last year. He has touted his work expanding shelters, building more housing, public safety, and investments in infrastructure. Both candidates know the biggest job may be tackling Tacoma's violent crime. The two mayoral candidates sat down with King 5's Connor Board to talk about what they hope to accomplish.
The two candidates vying to be the next mayor of Tacoma know the biggest job possibly ahead of them, tackling Tacoma's violent crime rate.
And it's a real focus on addressing crime and the root causes of crime here in the community. And both fully staffing our police department, but also just, those investments in the community to really get to it. And I think the more we can try to do both of those and really have a focus on that, I think we're going to be really successful.
It's not for any want of effort, but what it is for a want of is organization and discipline. I really do have a good feeling about the interim police chief. That'll be a conversation, but just making sure that TPD has what it needs to succeed, but also that we're stepping up as a community to look at long-term solutions too.
There have been 18 homicides so far this year in Tacoma. Last year there were 22, so this year could end up seeing an increase. The city did see a decrease in violent crime from 2023 to 2024. Tacoma's interim police chief, Patty Jackson, reports 88% of homicides this year have been solved, which she says is key to driving down violent crime.
I think that when you have a high solvability rate, it does send a message out to individuals that, Tacoma is really not the place to come and commit crime.
She thinks violent crime can also be reduced by building trust with the community.
When you have two-sided trust, that is when you start, bringing down that crime rate, because people are going to trust a report. They're going to trust to speak to you if they saw something, that they know that you're going to safeguard them.
Current Tacoma Mayor Victoria Woodard said increasing police department staffing is critical. The city council just approved an incentive program where officers transferring from other departments can get a $50,000 bonus.
And the goal with this program is hopefully to fill our vacant positions, if not by the end of the year, then by first quarter next year. That's huge. We haven't been up to full staffing since I can remember.
When it comes to teen violence, the city just restarted its task force focused on reducing crimes involving kids.
We're working together again to see how can we support young people in our community so that they don't get in a position where they either are affected by violent crimes or that they actually cause violent crimes.
In Tacoma, Connor Board, King 5 News.
All Washington voters will weigh in on an amendment that would determine how the state's long-term care insurance fund can be invested. WACARES is currently restricted to bonds and other fixed income securities. A measure known as Amendment 8201 would allow the state to invest those funds in the stock market. King 5's Alex McClune breaks down the measure and what you need to know when filling out your ballot.
We'll send you a photo of us in Disneyland.
For 40 years, Melissa Watts has looked after Max.
Max needs to have help with every aspect of his care.
Helping him dress, eat, and get through the day.
I add the vitamin L that he needs.
She's among supporters including healthcare workers and Planned Parenthood. The new amendment would allow Washington to use money in its long-term care fund, known as WACARES, and invest it in the stock market and other equities. The idea is that the fund would grow faster, boosting the financial bucket that funds the program and services like nursing home care, home health care, and more.
By diversifying the investments, it makes the contributions of workers go further by increasing the fund's rate of return.
The Washington State Actuary Office says approval could increase the fund by nearly $192 billion more by the year 2077. But a group of lawmakers opposed the amendment because of a glaring problem: risk.
The money has to be there when you need it. And I just think it sets a very not a good precedent.
State Representative Joe Schmick says the money currently comes from workers' paychecks and is invested conservatively in bonds and CDs, which the state constitution currently allows. In 2020, voters rejected a similar amendment attempt, and Schmick thinks voters should say no again in order to protect public funds and shield the cash from volatility.
Let's not gamble it.
Melissa pays into WACARES, so she'll get money back if something ever happens to her. And she wants to be on the same financial system that pays for pensions of firefighters and teachers in the state.
It's nice to have a safe way to make the big pot of money grow, so that more of the things that we need will be able to be paid for.
In Seattle, Alex McClune, King 5 News.
In Snohomish County, Everett Mayor Cassie Franklin began serving in 2018 and hopes to win re-election. Franklin says since taking office, crime has decreased and the police force has grown. Shelter capacity has tripled and more people have been connected to housing and treatment. Challenger Scott Murphy says that public safety is a priority and he wants to restore fiscal discipline to balance the city's budget. King 5's Eric Wilkinson spoke to the two ahead of the general election.
A tight race is brewing for Everett Mayor. Cassie Franklin, a two-term mayor and former nonprofit CEO, and Scott Murphy, a former city council member and businessman, have differing directions for the city's future.
We need a mayor who can actually deliver results.
I am the right leader to help lead through this challenging time.
Many of the issues are familiar: how to solve a structural budget deficit that's plagued the city for more than 2 decades and could reach $30 million in just 5 years. Each candidate says additional cuts or raising property taxes are both possibilities next year.
Regionalizing one of our services like our fire or library, whether maybe a very specific public safety levy or a parks and quality of life levy.
We would be looking at something targeted We'd be working with the community, listening to what are the priorities.
Franklin boasts federal statistics showing crime is at its lowest point in a decade. Murphy believes the city still needs to hire more police officers. As far as homelessness, Murphy says things are getting worse.
It is clear that unsheltered homeless is up 95% in the city of Everett in the last 7 years. And that's despite the fact that the city is spending millions of dollars a year in homeless response.
Franklin counters those numbers are skewed because more people are now sleeping in hundreds of additional city shelter beds.
When people are in a temporary shelter, they also count on that homelessness count. And they're much easier to count when they're in a temporary shelter.
Both crime and homelessness hang over Everett's newly shuttered Fred Meyer, where Mayor Franklin authorized 3,600 emphasis patrols to curb shoplifting, but the store pulled out anyway.
Maybe they should have rethought their business model to better serve this community. But instead, they chose not to serve this community.
Murphy says he would have established a retail theft task force to address the bigger problem within the city,
so that these companies have a chance for success and they're not looking to leave Everett.
In addition to his slim advantage in the primary, Murphy also enjoys a slight $12,000 advantage in fundraising. Election Day is November 4th. In Everett, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
When we return, 2 King County Council members face off to replace former executive Del Constantine. And welcome back. The race for King County Executive pits 2 county council members against each other. Council Chair Gurmai Zahalai and Council Member Claudia Balducci. They are hoping to replace acting executive Shannon Braddock. Braddock was appointed to fill the vacancy temporarily after former executive Del Constantine resigned. Constantine was selected as Sound Transit's new CEO. Madeline Carter has more on what the 2 executive candidates are hoping to accomplish if elected.
You were one of them once, weren't you?
I was. Let's go Quakers! Woo! Yeah.
2 candidates.
Go Quakers!
We're sitting here in the first and only full-time men's shelter in all of King County.
2 locations.
I am the person who helped to get this conceived, planned, built, and operated.
This is a really special place to me. I myself am a Franklin Quaker. I graduated from this school.
1 question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your confidence in winning this race?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I feel it's very, very close, and so I think it's probably a 5.
A solid 6.
Gurmai Zahalai's confidence mirrors the results of the King County executive race, winning 44% of the primary vote to Claudia Balducci's 30%. But on November 4th, Balducci is looking to shift those tallies in her favor.
In a way, without planning it, I've spent my whole life preparing for this job.
The former mayor of Bellevue has raised $916,000 in campaign dollars compared to Zahalai's $1.2 million. Add up the numbers raised and spent by both candidates, and you get the most expensive showdown in the state this year, even surpassing the Seattle mayor's race.
Our campaign has been so good about building what I call the broadest coalition in King County history.
Money matters in this job. The King County executive oversees 18,000 employees and is tasked with balancing a multi-billion-dollar budget. Zahalai says he's done that before.
I was the budget chair just last year, and I had to balance a $10 billion budget.
Worked my way up to run one of the largest departments, the Department of Adult and Juvenile Detention. And that had an over $100 million budget and over 1,000 employees.
Zahalai is the current chair of the King County Council, a post Balducci held in 2020. Now, she's setting her sights on making history as executive.
Never elected a woman to this job.
The person voters choose will manage some of the county's biggest challenges, from transportation to public safety, homelessness, and housing.
I want buses and trains to show up quickly and reliably, and I want people who get on that bus or that train to be as safe as possible.
If you are in trouble, if you are being arrested, instead of going to jail, perhaps we have a third place. And that is a place where you can get treatment, where you can get connected to social services and stop the revolving door.
Strip away the politics, and both candidates share the same goal.
I'm somebody from this community who cares deeply about this place, who grew up here, who's now raising his baby daughter here with his wife, and I want to work with them to make sure that we have a region of safety and opportunity for everyone.
To make a difference for their families and for King County.
I just feel that they would be very, very proud to have their daughter, granddaughter, grandniece be trusted with a position of this level of responsibility.
Madeline Carter, King 5 News.
The race for executive could have looked a little different before the arrest of King County Assessor John Wilson. In July, Wilson was booked into jail for suspicion of stalking and violating a court order. All civil actions involving Wilson and his former fiancée were dropped, but not before Wilson exited the race and later announced that he would not seek another term as assessor. A Pierce County School District is facing some big issues with overcrowding and access to resources for students. It's asking voters to help by approving a bond. That bond in the Orting School District would create a new elementary school and add a career and technical education building to the high school. Right now, Orting Elementary and Orting High School share a campus. The school buildings serve double the number of kids they were meant to hold. More than 60% of students have a class in a portable each day. They also have to use outdoor portable porta potties because there are not enough bathrooms. School leaders say that the current infrastructure is not giving kids the resources they need to be successful. We go back to King 5's Connor Board with more.
Around Orting High School's campus, you'll see more than 20 portable classrooms, and you'll also see multiple porta potties. It's a temporary solution to a growing problem.
These 6 portables share one porta potty.
Around 60% of students at Orting High go to classes in a portable.
When you think about safety and security, the more spread out you are and the more out in the open you are, the more vulnerable you are.
Orting Elementary and Orting High share a campus. The campus is already at nearly double the capacity of students. The district expects student population to increase by around 45% in the next 5 years due to the growth of nearby housing developments.
So every problem that you've seen today just exacerbates over time, and not over the next decades, over the next several years, which is why we're so urgently asking our community for their support.
The district is asking voters to approve a school bond totaling $137 million to help create better school facilities and alleviate overcrowding. The bond would fund a new Orting Elementary School that would be built on a separate campus with more capacity.
By building it for $600, as you've seen, it will add more restrooms, lunchroom space, cafeteria, intervention, space for social, emotional, and mental health support.
This would allow the high school to have its own campus, and the bond would add on a career technical education building to better prepare kids for job opportunities.
That's the biggest thing, because they're going to compete with a lot of kids from a lot of school districts that have these programs and we don't.
Some voters say they support the bond, while others oppose it due to the cost. Cost depends on home value. Someone who owns a $500,000 home would expect to pay around $53 per month.
The public's appetite for more taxes is just not there. They're feeling very burdened already. And so when you put schools against people's bottom line and trying to take care of kids and help them be safe and healthy, we get how it's tough for our community.
Voters rejected the past 4 school bond measures. They all received over 50% approval, but bonds need 60% to pass. Last time, supporters were 100 votes away from that threshold. The district said this is their most affordable bond measure yet.
Hopefully with our students, our parents, our community seeing the need, I'm hoping that's enough to open their eyes to the challenges that our kids are facing every day.
In Orting, Connor Board, King 5 News.
That bond is for $137 million. The cost people would pay is based on their home value. For example, the owner of a $500,000 home would pay about $53 a month. Coming up, Seattle's political landscape could shift once again with 3 council races on the ballot. Voters across Washington will decide who represents them on city and county councils. In Seattle, 3 council positions are on the ballot, including both citywide seats. Council President Sarah Nelson is seeking re-election for position 9. She is running on a platform of sensible solutions to fighting crime and helping people experiencing homelessness. Her challenger, Dion Foster, is pushing to refocus priorities and bring change to how the council works. Alexis Mercedes Rink is also up for re-election for position 8. Rink is up against challenger Rachel Savage. Farah Jadron spoke with both of them leading up to the general election.
Seattle means everything to incumbent city council member Alexis Mercedes Rink and challenger Rachel Savage. Each one calls it home after moving here at different times.
I went from waiting tables next to the Space Needle to working on policy at the UW Tower to now serving on Seattle City Council.
Mercedes Rink took office after winning a special election to fill the seat last year.
In my short time on council, only about 10 months, we've really been hard at work delivering on what the people sent us here to do.
Savage is a business owner.
I used to work downtown, and then I bought a shop up on Broadway, and I've had that shop since 1998. And I've seen the neighborhood change in a bad direction.
While the race is nonpartisan, the candidates are polar opposites politically. Savage is a Republican and Mercedes Rink a progressive Democrat. The main issues they're aiming to tackle include crime reduction, housing solutions, and boosting the local economy. For Savage, all three of those are connected and can't happen without a head-on approach to treating drug addiction.
I'm a recovered drug addict myself.
Now more than 3 decades sober, Savage says Seattle's Housing First approach, free housing without a treatment program required, isn't working and never will.
The current city council and frankly, the mayor, they're in over their head when it comes to addiction. If you give an addict everything they want, they're just going to continue using drugs, committing crimes, and ultimately killing themselves. So it's bad for the addicts, but it's also bad for everybody else in the neighborhood.
Savage says Seattle needs its own city jail, law revisions to allow for public drug use arrests, and offering treatment or jail time to nonviolent offenders. According to the Downtown Emergency Service Center, or DESC, housing is defined as a human right, not a reward for clinical success. It notes that once the chaos of homelessness is eliminated, clinical and social stabilization can happen faster and be long-lasting. Mercedes Rink believes there's room to improve Housing First.
We need to work on improving it. And I think it's important to center that Housing First came about and was developed as a result of the failures of treatment first models.
The National Institute of Health's latest review of this model says first reports show excellent housing retention and reductions in addiction severity, despite limited data, but states there are shortcomings in long-term housing success and retention.
I want to see downtown Seattle become the Manhattan of the West Coast. I want us to be a world-class city where it's safe and prosperous.
I'm here because of the Boys and Girls Club. I'm here because of my local library. And so I stand here as a living testament to when we invest in working families and young people, regardless of their beginnings, we can change generations.
The general election is November 4th. The deadline for in-person voter registration or changes must be done by Election Day. Ballots need to be in an official drop box by 8 p.m. or mailed at the post office in time to get postmarked by the 4th. For more information on how to vote and to learn more about the top races for this election, just text the word VOTE to 206-448-4545 and we will send you a link. Thanks for joining us, and remember to vote by November 4th. I'm Joyce Taylor for King 5 News.